What is going on YouTube? It's your boy Nevin the Barber, and in today's YouTube tutorial we are going to be covering a blurry drop fade with waves on top. As you guys can see, my client does have some wave texture on top, so we're going to make sure that we keep pretty much all of the length on top. He didn't want to cut any off the top. However, I am going to be sure to give him a blurry fade with a nice crispy edge up. So first things first, I'm going to carve in this first initial bald line, dropping it right after my client's earlobe, straight beneath his occipital bone on the back of his head. And the main reason I'm dropping this fade beneath his occipital bone is just because I want to give it contrast to his head shape. And you guys will see what I mean by that by the time I finish this haircut. So after I got this initial bald line carved in, I'm going to go over it and follow it up with my skin shaver. And today I'm going to be using my favorite skin shaver. I've tried a lot of different shavers, but this one right here is my personal favorite. This is the Bronze Series 9 shaver. And the reason I like this shaver so much is because not only is it very powerful and durable, but it can actually cut hair all the way up to the number 2 guard length, which is pretty wild for a skin shaver to be able to bald out hair that long. But yeah, you guys feel free to check out this shaver if you are looking for a new investment. I would highly recommend this one. Next, I'm going to follow that guideline up with my new Cyborg clippers, no guard lever all the way open. And I'm taking this guideline up about an inch. And I'm not going to blend out this guideline quite yet. We're actually going to blend it out at the end of our fade. And now I'm going to follow that guideline up using the 1.5 guard all the way closed. And again, I'm taking this guideline up about another inch. And these are going to be the two main guidelines right here that you guys are going to use. Always remember that the fade happens from the 0 to the 1.5. And to blend the top of the fade into the bulk, I'm going to do some clipper over comb, leaving that same guard on my clippers. And this is just kind of softening up the bulk. That way I can get a cleaner transition when I come back and refine the blend. And now I'm going to use the number 2 guard all the way open. And this is just blending that 1.5 guard guideline out up into the bulk of the hair, now that we've created a foundation for it. And I'm going to come back down with the grain, ensuring that I don't cut too deep into those waves. And you guys can see how the waves just lay straight out into the parietal ridge. So now that I've got a nice clean foundation and I have my guidelines set on my canvas, I'm going to start coming back down to blend out each guideline and really refine my blend. So with the blur guard all the way open, I'm going to blend the 0.5 into the 1.5. And you guys want to be sure to pay attention to the growth pattern of your client's hair when doing this. Some of your clients may have hair growing out in different directions, so always keep that in mind whenever you guys are trying to blend out each guideline. Always try to be aware of cowlicks as well, just because that'll really affect on how you have to cut the hair. And I'm just gradually closing the lever as needed. You guys can see how the middle guideline is slowly starting to fade away. And every time I close the lever, I'm just shortening my cutting stroke, just because the hair is getting cut at a tad bit more of a shorter length. And now I'm going to go ahead and line up my client's C-cups. I always like to clean up the C-cup before I erase that last guideline, just because it'll make it that much more crispier. And you guys will see what I mean by that by the time I finish this edge up. And just a heads up, I did not use any enhancements on this haircut. I'm going to show you guys how to get a nice and crispy natural lineup without using no enhancements. And finally, with no guard lever all the way closed on the Cyborg clippers, I'm going to begin flicking out that initial guideline we created with our trimmers. And this is basically the last step in the fade. You really want to take your time whenever erasing this guideline right here, just because this is really what's going to create that blurry effect up into the fade. And you guys can see how I'm just using the corner of my blade, angling it at the direction where the hair is growing out of the scalp. And like I said, you guys really just got to be patient with it. Some of your clients' hair texture may blend out a little bit smoother than others. For me, I personally think wavy and coarse hair is actually the easiest hair to blend, just because it lays really nice and flush on the scalp, as opposed to cutting straight hair that protrudes straight out of the scalp. I feel like that hair tends to be a little bit more trickier. But nonetheless, this is a really effective technique right here. If you guys haven't tried it out, I would definitely recommend giving it a shot. And if there is any other haircut tutorials you guys do want to see, feel free to drop them in the comments and I will get them out for you guys. I do drop weekly barber tutorials, so thank you for all of my subscribers who tune in. I am on the road to 250k subs, so thank you guys so much. I do appreciate all the support. And you guys can see just how nice and easy it was for me to blend out each of those guidelines to achieve this nice clean blend. And that's really what you guys want to aim for whenever cutting hair. Just a nice, clean, smooth, blurry transition from the skin into the hair without no guidelines. And if you guys do want to save some money on these clippers right here, or any of the Gamma clippers in general, you guys can use my discount code NEVIN10 on the Gamma website whenever you guys are checking out, and you guys will get a discount on your entire purchase. I would really highly recommend any of their clippers. They have some hitters if you guys are looking for some new trimmers, as well as skin shavers and blow dryers. They basically have everything. So if you guys need any of your clippers replaced, or you guys want to get a new brand, I would highly recommend Gamma. And now for the lineup, this is a little tip that I like to do before lining up the hairs on the front. I like to do trimmer over comb, just so I don't have no flyaways protruding over my client's hairline. And I'm being sure to keep it as natural as I possibly can, making sure I don't push back into his corners. And like I said, this is with no enhancements. You guys can see that his hairline is already popping out and looking nice and crispy. And after I put the razor blade on it, it'll make that much more of a difference. So we're gonna go ahead and repeat the same exact steps on the other side of my client's head. First things first, I'm gonna put that first bald line in with my Cyborg trimmers. And as always, you guys can see how I drop it right after I go over my client's earlobe. And you guys really wanna make sure that it's symmetrical on both sides. Always remember, symmetry is key. If you guys put in nice clean guidelines, you'll get a nice clean fade. So just keep that in mind before you start blending up into the hair. Just make sure everything is nice and symmetrical. So now that I got that first guideline set, I'm gonna go over it with my Bronze Series 9 shaver, ensuring that all the stubble is cut down to the skin. Some people like to do this at the end of the haircut. In some of my tutorials, that's usually what I do. But in today's tutorial, I wanted to show you guys how I bald down from the skin up into the hair, just to show you guys two different methods. And be sure to drop in the comments what you guys prefer, if you like to start by balding off the hair, or if you like to save that step for the end. Let me know what you guys think. I personally like doing it at the end, but like I said, for tutorial purposes, I did want to show you guys how I execute it, doing it as the first step. And I'm repeating the same exact steps, setting those first two guidelines in, the 0.5 and the 1.5. And I'm going to begin blending straight up into the bulk, doing clipper over comb with that same guard. And it's very important that you guys roll that comb off of the occipital bone in the parietal ridge. That way you don't cut up into the crown or cut into any bulk that doesn't need to be cut. And little by little, you guys can see how that 1.5 guideline is starting to fade and blend up into the bulk of the hair with a nice transition. And here I went ahead and put the number 2 guard. That way I can really blend out any last dark areas that I saw. And then I came back down, cutting with the grain. Whenever you guys cut wavy hair or coarse hair, it's very important that you get familiar with learning how to cut with the grain of the hair. And now I'm going to use the blur guard to blend the 0.5 up into the 1.5. And I'm starting with the lever all the way open. And I'm just flicking out with a nice consistent cutting stroke all the way through. And little by little, I'm just going to start to close the lever 1 notch at a time while shortening my cutting stroke. And you guys can see that I'm still just using the corner of my blade to flick out that guideline. I personally think it's a lot easier when using the corner of the blade rather than using the full blade, only because you guys can get a more precise cut. And here I went back with the number 2 guard just because I did see a few dark areas right at the top of the fade. And it's all these small details that really make the haircut pop out and, you know, make you stand out from other barbers. So never be afraid to put that extra detail work in. And here I'm just creating that C cup. And when you guys are doing the C cups, it's very important that you try to keep it as natural as you can. That way the haircut will last as long as possible. But you also want it to be as symmetrical as you can to the other side. So just be patient whenever you guys are doing this. Treat it like the trimmers are, you know, like a permanent marker. And you just want to make sure you're going little by little. That way you can get the most precise line you can get. And here, knocking off all the overhang on his hairline, doing the trimmer over comb. This really is a game changer right here. I then applied some holding spray to lock all those hairs in place. And I'm just tapping at his hairline, getting it as crispy as I can. And just like that, you guys can see how much of a difference that made. And it's very important that you guys do a hairline prep, ensuring that you knock down those baby hairs, just how I did with trimmer over comb, and then locking the hair in with some hairspray. And now that I have the hairline complete, I'm going to come back and erase that last guideline, blending the trimmer up into the 0.5. And these clippers right here are 0 gapped, which made this part of the haircut that much easier for me. And again, if you guys haven't learned anything in the video so far, please be sure to hit that like button and drop a comment if you haven't already. I do appreciate all the feedback that I get from you guys, so thank you for each and every one of you who tunes in. And my Gamma Cyborg clippers did die on me, which is why I busted out these right here. And these are some fire clippers as well that Gamma just dropped. This is a collab that they did with Mr. Cartoon. So again, like I said, you guys feel free to use my code Nevin10 if you want to purchase anything on their website and get a nice discount on it. And little by little, That blend is starting to come together. You guys can see how it looks nice and blurry just with us, you know, going through each step. And now that I have the fade and the edge up complete, I'm gonna come back and detail my client's lineup, ensuring that I bring that razor up against the grain of the hair. It's always important that you guys do this. That way you can give your client the crispiest edge up that you can. And I personally like going up against the grain rather than with the grain, just because it'll make it cut down a little bit shorter and really get that hair out of the skin. And as always, I'm gonna go ahead and finish up doing some shear over comb up into the bulk, just to give it that much more of a smoother transition. And like I said, it's really all these small details that are gonna make your haircuts pop out and help retain those new clients back in your chair. But that's about it for today's video. I do appreciate each and every one of you guys who made it this far. Again, if you haven't subscribed to my channel, please be sure to subscribe. Let me know what you guys want to see next, and I'll see you guys in the next one. I'm out.